we run exercises. Did you do some more exercises like
I went to the workbook and did exercises from there.
you did? Okay, good.
Yeah. And
Maximums and minimums, all right? So like these maximum and minimums are like in a graph, all right? It's usually called as the concavity. Okay, concavity is like if this is the graph, yes, and this is a graph. Okay?
yeah.
So at one point it's increasing, while at the other point it's decreasing. Got it? So now let's read it. It says that for the maximum and the minimum. All right. And when riding a roller coaster, right, there is always like one point that is the absolute like highest off the ground. Got it? Like one point is absolutely highest off the ground. The other would be like the minimum point, right? The lowest point.
Yeah.
Okay, so there are usually like many other places that reach fairly high, just not as high as the first. There are also places where the roller coaster dips, with one being the absolute lowest the roller coaster can go. Now, how do you identify and distinguish between these different peaks and valleys in a precise way? Got it? Like in a graph. So how do you find like the maximums and minimums, right? The highest points and like the lowest points in the valleys and in different peaks, like in mountains. Now, we have like local maximums, we have the relative extremas. And so the first one over here is that a global maximum, right, refers to the point with the largest y. Do you know what y is?
Why?
Yes.
In this graph, I don't know, but yeah, in general, I know what the y values are.
Yes, the highest. Y is actually vertical, right? Yes, and x is horizontal, right?
Yep.
So for obvious reasons, we're gonna have like wait, something happened. Okay, so a global maximum refers to a point with the largest y value, all right, possible on a function. Got it? It has the
Okay.
largest y value. Got it? A maximum, a global maximum. Got it?
Okay.
Because the highest point will always be the maximum y point, right? Which will be the global maximum. And similarly, a global minimum refers to the point with the smallest y. Got it? Okay. Together, these two values are referred to as global extremas. Okay.
Okay.
Now, local minimum and local maximum are called as relative extremas. Okay. But these, when the global maximum and global minimum are called as global extrema.
Extremers.
Okay. There can only be one global maximum and one global minimum. Global refers to the entire space where the function is defined. Got it? Global extrema are also called as absolute extrema. Got it?
Okay.
All right. Now, in addition to global maximums and global minimums, there are also like local extrema or relative maximums and relative minimums. Okay. So now the second one, what we have is the relative or like local extrema. Got it?
Okay.
Now, local extrema have relative maximum or relative minimum. Is it clear? And the word relative is used because in relation to some neighborhood, these values stand out as being the highest or the lowest. Got it? Like to some extent, like to some neighborhood, right? In a country, not on a larger scale, like the entire space, right? Local maxima is for a certain space. Did you get it?
Okay.
So relative maximum is, like for example, One is an infinite point, right? For example, this is the graph, right? Are you getting it?
Yeah.
So if this is the graph, right? This point is coming from here somewhere, right? Is it clear?
Yep.
So tell me, what is point A? What is point B? What is point C? And what is point D?
So point A is the global maximum.
Yeah.
Point B is the global minimum
Why?
because that's the lowest value of y.
Yes. What about C?
And then C is relative maximum.
Yes.
And then D is relative minimum.
Yes. Good. All right. Now, okay. Now it says that use the graph to find absolute and local maximum and minimum. Okay. So do you know what's absolute? Priti?
Yeah.
What is absolute?
Is it not the highest value?
Yeah, but what is it called? Not the highest, but the minimum as well. So what is it called?
I mean, is it called global because that was called the global maximum and then it's also known as the absolute maximum?
Yes, and it's also got not, it was just absolute, all right, not maximum or minimum, just absolute. So absolute, what we call is the globe.
Absolute and global.
Yes.
Okay.
So let's just say this is a graph. Let me draw the graph of the function given to you as this, 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 this. All right. Let's just say this is 1, 4. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This point is 3, 4, 5, 6. 6, 4. And now this point is -2, 5. And this point is 5, -5, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, -5, 3. Yep. All right. All right. So if these are the points, right? Can you please tell me what points are the local minimum and local maximum?
Local minimum would be -5, 3, and 6, 4.
Why?
Because they're both both of them are not global.
No, this is not it.
They're both minimum points.
So what's the difference between this is the local minimum? Okay, from here till here. Yes. Got it? Till here. Is it clear?
But wouldn't 1 -4 be the global minimum?
Now this whole point. Don't you think so? The local max would be? Would be
4
the
or
local.
5.
Hmm?
4 or
No,
5. The
no,
0.45.
not 4 and 5. Like over here, you can check that the local maximum is, I'm not talking about the points, but like 1 point is 3, right? The other point is -4, and the other point is 4, right? As you can see, yes. So the point for the local minimum would be 1 is -5, 3. Yes, the other is 1, -4, right? And the third one is 6, 4. Yes, is it clear?
Yeah.
Okay, what about for the local maximum?
So it would be from 1 -4 to 4, 5.
No, -2 to 5 and 4 to 5. Got it? 4 and 5. These two are the maximum, the local points for the maximum. Got it? Now I'll be asking about the absolute. Did you get it?
Yeah, okay, got it.
What about for the absolute max?
Absolute will be 4 or 5.
Yes, and
And the
absolute
absolute
max would
minimum
be
will be
none.
1.
Absolute max would be none. 5 and
Well, because
5.
it keeps going.
Yes.
Okay,
And
but
what about
absolute minimum is 1 -4.
just -4?
Or is
Okay,
it just going to be the
the
x
y
value?
value. Yes, for the y value.
Okay.
Is it clear?
Yeah.
All right. Now, like you were asked to identify and distinguish between different peaks and values, right? Maximum and minimum should be intuitive, all right? Because we simply identify the highest points and the lowest points, or the peaks and the values, right? Now, there's a formal distinction about whether a maximum is the highest on some local open interval, right? Like, does not matter how small, all right? Like the open interval, yes? From here to here, right? If this was the interval, right? We have to check for the intervals. You got like the not the absolute ones, but the local ones, right? The points where I said it. So, and it can be like highest or lowest. Did you get it? Like the previous example. Riti,
Yeah.
did you get it?
Yeah.
Okay, example number 2. Identify and categorize all extremes, let's just say. For example, if this is the graph D. Okay, so tell me, what are the extremes? Tell me about the
There is
group.
no, how, is there a maximum and minimum?
No, is there? Do you see it? Global max or global min?
No, because it's still, it doesn't like,
Because the function flattens but does not actually reach a peak or a value, right?
yeah.
So there is no global maximum or local maximum or minimum. Got it? Not even local.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. None and none. Okay. So example number 3, do you see it?
Yeah,
Okay, so what do you think? It says that identify and categorize all the extremists in the graph below.
but there's only one maximum and one minimum.
Yes, and what is that?
Maximum is 303,
Yeah.
and the minimum is 2.778, I don't know, and -7.
Okay, all right. What about example number 4? What do you think? It says that identify and categorize all the extrema in the graph below.
The global minimum is at 0.0.
Yes, and what about global maximum?
5.5.
Yes, what about the local maximum?
-1.1.
What about example 5? It's the graph of x under root, right? Root x, yes? The values of x cannot be negative since the values of y cannot be negative. So what do you think?
I mean, there's 0.0, which is a minimum because it's reaching a peak.
Yes. That is the
Is there
minimum
anything
part. We know
else?
that. I know there are no maximums because it just goes down, all right? There are no highest
Yeah.
points, all right? Now there's the review. It says that use the graph below for 1 and 2. Identify any global extrema. So there is a global minimum, right? Which is at 3 and 0.
Yeah.
What about 2? Identify any local extrema. It's again at 3 and 0, right? What about use the graph below for 3 and 4? It says that identify any global extrema. So where is the global extrema? Tell me.
Okay.
You don't get it?
No. Hold on. Okay, so for the first one, in the global extreme, the global maximum would be pi/2 and 1. The
Yeah.
global minimum is -pi/2 and 2. Pi/2 and -1, sorry. But there's no locals, are there?
What do you think?
I
Why
don't
not?
think there are any locals.
Why not? There can be a local minimum at 0, 0.
0.0.
Yes.
But that's not a peak or a valley.
Yes. But there's a, as you can see, the global maximum or minimums are also the local maximums or minimums. Can't you see that? The graph ends right, so there has to be a local maximum or minimum, but the global maximum or global minima matters, right? If it's moving on or it's the highest point. Okay, now question number 5 and 6. What do you think? Are there any? No. Are there?
No, because there's
Yes.
no
Okay, what about 7 and
peak
8?
figures. 7 and 8. The global maximum is, was it -1.522? The global minimum is 2.5 -12. And then the local minimum is 1.5 negative 1, and then the global max, the local maximum is 1, 0.
Okay. Okay. What about, these are easy. It says that explain the difference between a global maximum and a local maximum.
And
What do you think?
um, local maximum or minimums are the smallest value,
Yeah.
whereas the global ones are the largest value.
Who said that? The global is the
As in, okay, wait.
in
Global maximum
space.
is the largest value of y, and global minimum is the lowest value of
Okay, what about local
y.
maximum and local? I said the difference between local maximum and global maximum.
Um, I guess a global maximum is like the overall highest point on the graph, while the local maximum is the highest point um within a part of the graph, I guess.
Global is like in space, right? Everything
Yeah.
combined. Yes. While local is to a certain neighborhood. Got it? Okay.
Okay.
What about, what if I say, okay, you're gonna do question number 12, 13, 14, 15 as homeworks, okay? Let's move to the next exercise. Now, as homework, but as the questions, okay. Now we're gonna do the next one, yes? What do you think, even and odd functions? Is it important?
The what?
The even and odd functions. I think those are really easy.
No, we don't have to go over that. I've done that.
You've done that, right? Yes.
Yeah.
Tell me which one done.
Zeros of a polynomial is just when it equals 0, no?
Yeah.
Okay, we already do that. No. Well, you can do transformations because I struggle with transformations.
The graph transformations, right? Where is it? The transformations?
1.14.
Okay. Penny has been commissioned to paint a large mural on the side of a humane society. All right. So let me write it. Polynomials using transformations. So the society has a mascot, all right, an African lion that the society supports by donating money to the local zoo. All right. For a skit, Penny is expected to sketch the lion. Submit the sketch to the board of the Humane Society for approval and then scale up the drawing to 22 square feet. So like it will cover the side of the building. Now, shortly after Penny actually begins the job of painting the mural, she is visited by the chairman of the board of the Humane Society. He tells Penny that the fire chief has just notified the society that the additional activity the mural is expected to attract means that the building will need another entrance or like exit for fire safety. Now, unfortunately, that means that the mural will need to be moved up and to the right about 5 feet. Now, what kinds of transformation or complex lines, like the ones in this lesson, will Penny have used by the time she completes the job? So now it says that graphing polynomials using transformations. Yes. For the
Yeah.
polynomial functions, you have already like studied many different kinds of functions. For example, linear, the constant, the quadratic, right? All these three functions belong to a larger group of functions called the polynomials. Yes. The most simple polynomial is called a power function. Do you remember the power function? What was it?
Um.
Hello?
Power function is a single term that is the product of a real number.
So how is it written?
So like x squared or x cubed.
Can be like, yes, so f a x power n, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me ask you something. Tell me what would be the difference between y is equal to x squared graph and y is equal to x cube graph. Tell me.
Sorry.
What's the difference between these two graphs? Y is equal to x squared and y is equal to x cubed.
The values at the same x value will be different with y, and so the graph and the shape of the graph will look different.
So how will be the graph like?
X squared will just be a u that goes at the point 0, 0, goes to the point 0, 0.
Yeah.
And x cubed will be a graph that is, I mean, it's like the one that we said that, doesn't have any extremas. It just like flattens out, and touches the point 0, 0, and then just goes straight down.
What about x squared? That does not go like, does not touches the extremes, the x squared. This is not the difference. Both
X
of them does not.
squared has x squared has an extrema. It has a minimum value.
X
X
cube
cubed
also has
doesn't.
x cube also have it at 0, 0. Can it not? Or is
Yeah,
it
but
like
then
this?
isn't it like the other graph that we just saw that like flattens out instead
This
of
one, right?
having a,
This one.
yeah.
It teaches it goes towards the negative minimum, right? And positive minimum, while the x squared only goes towards the positive minimum. Yes? Did you get it?
Sorry, I don't get it. No.
I said that x squared, the graph of x squared only goes to the positive minimum, right? Positive maximum. Like to infinity point, right? While the x
Yeah.
cube goes both towards the positive and the negative minimum. Got it?
Okay.
Okay. All right. All right. Now read this paragraph.
Sorry, what'd you say?
Read the paragraph
Which one?
after the graph.
Notice that each power function has only one x and one y intercept the origin 0, 0. The end behavior of a function describes the y values as x gets very large, x to the power x to infinity in symbols, or x as x gets very small, x to negative infinity. For
Yes.
even powers n, the power function fx equals ax to the power of n is u-shaped, like a parabola, and x is to infinity. Fx is to infinity, likewise, x is to negative infinity, therefore fx is to infinity.
Yes.
For odd powers, n, the power function goes from the third quadrant to the first quadrant, like the line y equals s as x as x goes to infinity, fx goes to infinity, x goes to negative infinity, fx goes to negative infinity.
Perfect. Okay.
As with quadratics and polynomials, the leading coefficient a changes the vertical stretching of power functions.
All right, so
Yeah.
did you get the graph right?
Yeah.
I think we can move on from this one. You can do the workbook later. What next exercise you want to do? Like
this increasing and decreasing, average rate of change. What is increasing and decreasing?
what?
What do you mean by increasing and decreasing?
Increasing and decreasing function?
Yeah, it says 1.15, it says increasing and decreasing. What is that?
Well, here this function from this point up towards this point is increasing function. Or this is the decreasing function.
Oh, so it's like a shift of the curve.
Yes, this is the decreasing function and this is the increasing function. Got it?
Okay. Yeah, so we can go to average rate of change.
What? Rate of change. All right. All right.
Average rate of change, 1.16.
Yes, yes, I got it. Let me open it. Okay. It's 1.16.
16.
All right, so the instantaneous rate of change is the differentiation part, all right? And the average is for the slope of the secant line, got it? But I don't know if it's like graphing only, like the basics. Like you have to learn the basics first for the functions for the average rate of change, all right? Which is the del y divided by del x, all right? Which is also the gradient or the slope. Okay, this is what it is like, the average rate of change. Now, it says that in the average rate of change, let me write it. I think you've studied the equation offline, right? Riti, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so it says that suppose you and your family are planning to drive Disney World, right? You know that the trip includes the following approximate sections. Now, 200 miles east, 100 miles south, 350 miles east, right? How could you generalize the description of the journey? Now, for the average rate of change, consider the following situation. You're on a week-long trip with your friend. When you begin to drive on the second day, you have already driven a total of 200 miles, yes? After 6 hours of driving, on second day, you have driven a total of 500 miles. On average, how many miles did you drive on the second day of the trip, right? So for example, if this is the graph, let's say this is 3, this is -2. If this is x1 and this is x2, right? So how will you find x del x? Yes, so it's going to be x2 minus x1, right? And it's going to be 3 minus -2, right? So which is going to be 5. Got it? So this is the average difference. Did you get it? Are you reading it?
Yeah.
Okay, so read it after the graph.
Notice that in total, during your 6 hours of driving, you have driven 300 miles. The rate at which you drove is 300 miles in 6 hours, or 50 miles per hour.
Yeah.
We refer to this rate as the average rate of change, because it is an average across the 6 hours. That is, you did not necessarily drive 50 miles an hour.
Yeah.
There could have been 1 hour where you drove 70 miles and another hour where you only drove 30 miles.
Yeah.
We can represent the average rate of change on the graph by including how much quantity has changed. The y values increased by 300 and the x values increased by 600. The average rate of change is the ratio of these changes in the variable. This is how we can define the average rate of change.
Is given by change in y
over change in x,
which is rise
over change in x
over run. Got it? So this is the distance that you cover, right? This is the rise, this is the run, right? Yes? This is x1, this is x2, this is y1, this is y2, right? Got it? Is it clear? x1, y1, right? Yes? This is y1 and this is y2. Got it? And x2, y2. Is it clear? So the average you're going to find it by y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Got it? Hello, Riti? Riti, can you hear me?